Hi, welcome to Todd's Tips. I'm Todd Barsness, a full-time voiceover talent, and Todd's Tips is a feature of VO Marketing Pro. Now, if you'd like more information about VO Marketing Pro or anything else related to voiceover, just visit our Facebook page, website, or contact us via email. The links are located here. Demond is putting here the caveats that I always do as I lead into these, simply because you do your business your way, I'm going to do it my way, but there are some supra-business principles that everybody needs to do, and some of these things are things that maybe, especially as voiceover talent, I think this one would be one that I learned, I employ it all the time, and it's very valuable. It's helped me make a lot of money, more money than I would have made had I not employed it. So here's my do. I do ask my clients for their budget. Now, just as a caveat to that, there are some people that use a rate guide, like the GVAA rate guide or the SAG-AFTRA rate guide, and they won't fudge on it. That's fine if that's the way you want to do it. I happen to be more working with clients over the last 12 or so years that are okay kind of going back and forth with their budgets. Sometimes I work with the same client and they might have multiple size budgets for different clients, for their end client. And so they always appreciate the fact that I'm willing to flex a little bit
Sure.
to meet their needs. So I do ask my clients for their budgets. My good friend and VO talent, VO career coach, and VOMP client,
Voice
and
of our
voice of our
podcast.
podcast, Bill DeWeese. He said this on a free YouTube video many, many years ago. And it's a little trick that I do all the time, as much as I can. I always remember it. Most of you have heard this. Some of you employ it, and you probably do it yourself. If a client approaches you with a project and asks you to quote it, which a lot of people do these days. Oh, I got a 2-minute explainer video. What would it cost me? I've got a 10-minute e-learning project. What would you quote? Those types of things. My best practice is something that I do, and it's this. I say something like, thanks for the chance to quote this project. I can certainly provide a flexible quote based on what I would typically charge. But do you already have a budget in mind?
Smart.
So unless they say, this is our budget, or we saw your rate guide and we want to use the specific rates, then that's what I get back with them about. And you do that too.
Yes,
right?
but maybe you're going to go into that. Why do you do that?
Yeah.
Why do you leave that open end?
Yeah.
Maybe it's obvious to everybody,
No.
but it wasn't to me when I first started.
Yeah. And again, it might be to a lot of the folks that either watch this regularly or watch Bill DeWeese or employ this. I'll just say this. Once in a while, I'm surprised that the client comes back with a quote lower than I expected.
Sure.
But 9 out of 10 times, and I mean this, 9 out of 10 times, what I was going to quote, either from my standard rate sheet or just something, what's fair? What do I normally, what have I heard other people? I try to keep that in mind, and then I throw out a quote, and guess what? 9 out of 10 times, their quote is higher than what I would have, and that's why I do it.
Yeah.
Because if they have something in mind, then I want to know what they have in mind. And they ask sometimes just because I think they're trying to be fair with us. And so I'll oftentimes just ask back. So here's an illustration real quickly. This week I did 9 very short tags for a regular client. He asked what my price would be. I popped the, what is your budget question, hoping to get $250. That's what I was hoping to get. I
For
thought
all 9 tags?
Yep. Yeah, they're very short. I did them in like 10, 15 minutes. And I thought, well, based on what we normally do for other commercials, I'm going to ask a little more, and I'm going to ask for $250. He came back with I'm thinking between $600 and $750. Is that fair? And I said, yeah, I think that's fair. So I quoted him $600 because I thought, why am I going to go for the whole thing?
I'll go on the low end of it.
I'm serious, because he's a good client. And I
Yeah.
thought, I'm not going to, try to get the most out of him. He's giving me a range of what they're thinking. And so I took the $600, which was, again, $350 more than I thought. Just like that. And that happens a lot. Now, what's going to happen, I know this is going to happen. Somebody's going to try that.
And they're going to
say, they're going to say, you're either going to go out there and they're going to say, hey, Todd tries this and he just made $350. I'm going to try it. I'm going to say, what was your budget? And I'm thinking, $400. Well, we were thinking $325. Well, you can always go back and you can say, well, I typically get, but it's harder to go up than it is to go down. And
you don't want to lose a chance to get that job. If you're somebody who's like me, and that's what I was going to say, is I've had that happen where the person's honest with you and they say, well, we're in a smaller market, or we don't have a lot of money for this budget. For me, I'm looking to just work. And yeah, it would be nice to have more, but in that situation, if they do end up shooting lower than what you were planning on, who cares? That's at least how I am. I'm like, I'll just do it. If I was thinking $200 and it's $100, well, I'll probably just do it because I'd rather be working, make some money than say, well, I would normally get $200 for this, and then be like, oh, well, he's, that's too much. We're going to go find somebody else. Then you lose it altogether, and you maybe lose a client. I don't know. To me, if you're in my situation and you want to work, you might want to, take that lower ball offer and have maybe someone who gives you consistent work.
Yeah. Have you found, you haven't had that many opportunities to quote jobs, but have you found that it's worked sometimes, or has it worked against you sometimes?
Well, like I said, most of the time it works in your favor. I mostly, if they ask for a quote and stuff like that, unless they ask me specifically, do you have a rate sheet? Can you send me your rate sheet? Then I'll send my rate sheet that I have. But if they say, what would you quote for this? Or what's this? I'll almost always get back with what you said. I appreciate the, the offer to be able to audition for this or whatever it is. I'd be happy to give you a quote, but does your client have a budget already set aside or a budget in mind? Just in case, just in case you get a little extra. So.
Yeah, so that's what I employ, that little strategy. Going back when somebody says, can you quote this? I just say, do you have a budget? Now, just two little warnings. First, don't go overboard. Don't do lots of back and forth. Like if they say, could you quote this? And you say, well, do you have a budget? And they get back and they say, well, kind of had something in mind. You can say, maybe. Well, what was that? A lot of times I'll say this. I'll say, if you have a budget, then I'm fine, or I can provide you a flexible budget. So just let me know what works best. So I offer to do a quote if they want to. So it doesn't get awkward, because it's like, you're going to show your cards. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to show mine. No, you're going to show yours. So don't go overboard. And if they refer to your standard rate sheet, in other words, they have that on file, or they've asked you to send it, and they say, give me a quote, then that's something you need to just follow through. You can say, well, my rate guide says X amount, but maybe you want me to flex either way. I've had people do that before. Yeah, no, we've got more in the budget than that. So great. Yeah. Sometimes they say, can you be just a little flexible and knock $100 off or whatever? So those are just some things to think about. So I do ask my clients for their budget.
Thanks a lot for joining me for Todd's Tips. And if you'd like more information about VO Marketing Pro or anything else related to VO, the links are listed here.